Batman has had many sidekicks over the years, but none of them more iconic than his various Robins. Each Robin has brought something unique to the table, shaping Batman's story and character in tremendous ways. From Dick Grayson's hopeful beginnings to Damian Wayne's complex legacy, each Robin represents a different facet in the Dark Knight. In this video, we'll dive deep into what each Robin symbolizes and how they've influenced the Caped Crusader. The Bat family consists of a very large amount of members, so obviously I won't be diving into each and every single Bat family member that has either been a Robin or whatever. I will just be mainly tying into 5 specific Robins and Bat family members. This obviously being Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, Tim Drake, Barbara Gordon, and Damian Wayne. I will only stick to these 5 because 1, they give the most interesting perspective on what they represent within Batman, and so this video doesn't end up being an hour-long video for me just talking from everybody from Cassandra Cain all the way to somebody like Luke Fox or any random person that Batman has taken in along the way. The origin of Dick Grayson is something that is well known throughout almost any comic book fan. Dick Grayson's life before Batman as one of the Flying Graysons in a circus is so well known due to his acrobaticness in everything that he's done in almost every iteration that he's been put into. Dick Grayson is quite possibly one of the most favorite Robins out of any person just because of the thing that he represents in Batman, which would really be his innocence, his optimism, and his hope for overcoming tragedy. His evolution from Robin to Nightwing and his enduring legacy that he has left behind out of all of the times that he's been around has just shown you how much of a character that he truly is in importance to. As I've already stated, he has the first title of being a Robin. He is the first person to don that title. He is the first person that Bruce managed to take from being an orphan into being this kind of representative of being a true hero. This would be his legacy. This would be Nightwing's legacy, being the first ward of Bruce Wayne, the person that Bruce didn't know how to completely raise yet, the person that Bruce was still trying to work out a lot of things, so it led to a bigger rift in their relationships. I say that Dick represents innocence, optimism, and hope strictly due to the fact of his personality. Even with all of the loss that he suffered, even with the fact that he lost his family and had to become Robin to somebody that was still brooding and not as much of a person as he is now, he still never lost that innocence and optimism. That is the main reason that he chose to leave being by Batman's side and wanted to go a completely different way. They had differing opinions on how to be a hero. They had different opinions on how to do the things that they were already doing, and Dick felt that it would be better for him to step away and do it his own way. Build his own name, build his own brand, and stop being under Batman's completely fingers and being under him as a Robin. He wanted to do his own stuff and be his kind of own person, still letting the quips and jokes and all of his comedic parts fly. He is the more outgoing Robin, to say the least. He is that Robin that you kind of expect to be a little more flamboyant and a little more extravagant with a lot of things that he does. He is the version of Bruce that still has some kind of hope in everything. The version of Bruce that isn't completely broken, that isn't just completely lost in all of his suffering. That is truly what he represents in somebody like Batman. The hope that he can still become a better man. The hope that he isn't too far gone, that he will never be able to recover everything that he has lost, all of the pain in his heart, all of the pain that he has felt throughout his entire life. Jason Todd, the second Robin, is probably the only other Robin besides Dick Grayson that has such a synonymous name with somebody like Batman. His story, the entire path of him becoming a Robin, is so well known. Everybody knows how Batman found him stealing the tires off of the Batmobile, which absolutely is hilarious in itself, but The character of Jason Todd and his entire tumultuous background is one of those things that we truly understand why Batman had that urge and need to take him in. The main thing that I honestly think that Jason represents in Tide of Batman would be his anger, his rebellion, and the consequences of all of Batman's choices. I say this specifically due to the fact of Jason Todd is what Batman kind of sees when he looks in the mirror. He is the true thing that Batman fears himself, like within himself. That is one of the main reasons why I always think that Batman goes harder on Jason compared to everybody else. Why he went harder on Jason compared to anybody else. When he looks at Jason, he sees himself. He sees the worst parts of himself. All of the anger, all of the rage, all of the need to just completely kill, the darkness within inside of him. That's what he sees inside of somebody like Jason. The significance of his death at the hands of the Joker in A Death of the Family would just made it no much even better. I say this due to the fact of Batman had now lost somebody that he was absolutely trying to take care of. Some kid that he had brought into this life. Some kid that he now felt the consequences of, oh my God, I brought him in here and now he is gone. He has died and it is all my fault. He had to feel the pain of losing somebody that was basically like a son to him. Somebody that looked up to him and now somebody that he had completely let down. The resurrection of him was the only other thing that kind of gave him some kind of relief, but now he even saw more of the darkness what's inside of him. The resurrection of him just led to so much of a more complex relationship with Batman due to the fact that now he was Red Hood. He was a person that Batman didn't really know what to do with. Nobody would know what to do with. He was so much different and such a different character and such a different beast entirely. This would have really just been a big situation where Batman really wouldn't know what to do with. His entire anger, his entire rage that was inside of him was only heightened by something like the Lazarus Pit. It was only enhanced and strengthened, and now Batman didn't really understand how to truly help somebody like them. Yes, eventually Jason was able to go back to a normal path and still be the Red Hood, but be more along the sides of the Bat family, but his relationship with Bruce was obviously still struggling, and his relationships with a lot of other people really never became the same afterwards. His entire path and the entire thing that he represents within Batman just really irritates Batman and kind of makes him look inside of himself so much. Tim Drake is probably one of the more interesting Robins to discuss, due to the fact of his role is so much more different than somebody like Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. The only reason I say this was because of the fact of he isn't like either of them in so many more ways, but the main thing that he has in correlations with Batman would be the fact of his detective skills, his intellectual skills. The fact that he was able to figure out and discover Batman and Robin's identities, and that being the reason that he kind of led himself into the path of being a Robin himself, was the main reason that Batman found him so interesting. What Tim represents in Batman would be his intelligence, his detective skills, and the legacy of Batman's mission. His contributions to the Bat family and his tenure as Robin is notable in itself. There's not really much that you can say for a character like this. Tim has been a very smart, intelligent staple of the Bat family for so long now that it is one of those situations that you kind of just got to give him his props. His entire intelligence, his entire just mindset, and the way that he is able to be so much like Batman in so many different ways in terms of just being as smart as he is one of those things that nobody really ever truly expected. Batman, when he first showed up, was one of those characters that you were like, oh yeah, but can he beat Batman though? Like all of those annoying people that just use the prep time argument. Tim Drake is probably the only other person that could actively do something like that. His entire intuition and his entire intuitive skills correlates so well with somebody like Batman. And it is one of those things where Batman didn't even have to be the person to teach him something like that. Tim came already on deck with something like that and was only so much more enhanced by somebody like Batman being able to be the one to train him, lead him up to a more big path and lead him up to a better path in terms of learning all of the abilities that he possibly could have ever needed to learn. It was one of those better things for him in terms of being able to gain something like Batman's tutelage. Now, the only non-Robin-esque person that I will be discussing would be Barbara Gordon. I'm only going to be discussing her, one, because I do want to involve one character that specifically doesn't just go under the name as Robin. Yes, we have people like Spoiler, yes, we have people like The Signal, and a couple others that we could probably talk about, but I just wanted to go over somebody at least specific, so I went with the route of Barbara Gordon. Barbara is a very weird kind of character to discuss. Obviously, if you know the character, she is the daughter of Batman's longtime friend and confidant as a person, Commissioner Gordon. This is a character that obviously has been a part of the comics for so long and is the main reason that Batman's actually able to work so well within Gotham. He is the commissioner of the police entirety of Gotham, and he's actively a very close person that says Batman should be existing. A lot of other people don't believe that, but he does, so it works very well for him. Barbara is one of those characters that the thing that she represents the most would be something more like perseverance and determinations. I really say this specifically due to the fact of Barbara is a character that, while yes, has a very perky and like quirky spirit as Batgirl, also had some of the world's worst things happen to her and still was able to survive. Like Jason, she had a very bad encounter with somebody like the Joker, well, the Joker specifically, and ended up paralyzed from the legs, basically from the hip down, to the point that she was actively in a wheelchair, and she was just forced to be in a wheelchair for the remainder of however long. So I really just have to say that this is a very big situation where her entire perseverance and still becoming somebody like Oracle, still being in that same field, really just has to correlate with somebody. And it really just correlated with me. Her challenges as Batgirl and the entirety of the situation that led up to all of these things that have been going around is such a very big impact on something like the Bat family due to the fact of her relationship with both Bruce Wayne, Batman, and Dick Grayson's Nightwing. She has a very integral connection with both of those two people, and yes, while sometimes I'm not even gonna lie, it is a little weird, you can't really deny the fact of her perseverance, determinations, and all of the things that she represents inside of Batman come in so handy and just show you how much of an important character that she is. Now, for the last person that I'm going to be discussing would be the Blood Son, Damian Wayne, the heir to the Mantle. Damian Wayne's origins as the son of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul is, a very tricky one to say the least. The way that he came into conception and the way that he became into existence was one of those very tricky matters that we probably shouldn't talk about, but it is one of those situations that kind of is just important. Obviously, Talia basically just sapped some of Bruce's DNA, created this kid, Bruce didn't really know about it, and we kind of had a Buddha Bada thing. Now he exists. Obviously, Damian was raised within the League of Shadows and, League of Assassins, and really raised to be a certified killer. What he represents in Batman is legacy, lineage, and the struggle for identity. I say this strictly due to the fact of he is Batman's true legacy. He is his actual son. He is the lineage that is tied to him. And the main thing that I say is the reason for a struggle of identity is the fact that he was raised as an assassin, but as soon as he came into Bruce's care, he couldn't do that anymore. He had to start finding exactly who he had to be and who he could be besides that, he had to figure out who he's supposed to be while he's not just absolutely Robin, and he's able to actively live more of a normal life. We've seen his relationship with somebody like John Kent, Superman's son, and we've just seen the entirety of his growth from a ruthless assassin to a disciplined Robin under Batman's guidance. The significant storylines that he has really just showcase how much of a growth that he has had and how much of a change that he has had from when he was first introduced to now. He is probably one of the more popular Robins at this point due to the fact that he is most certainly the newest Robin that has really been showing up and just actively doing a lot of the things. Yes, I'm going to be expecting a couple more Robins to come out eventually, knowing how Batman is. It is one of those situations where Damian Wayne has been able to catch the eyes of everybody and just show you that he is Batman's true next person. That's exactly what he wants. That's what he believes. He believes, since the fact of him being the actual trueborn son to Batman, not a ward, not an adopted son, and not somebody that Batman just took in, he has the right to become the next Batman. Obviously, once he's older. If Batman were to croak or die sometime soon, obviously that kind of mantle would have to go to somebody like Dick Grayson, Jason Todd, or any of the other Robins that I had mentioned, until Damian was finally actively ready or old enough and responsible enough, had the mentality to take Batman's mantle and wield it with actual pride, wield it with true intention, wield it with actual cadence and a real dedication that it deserves. The legacy of Robin is basically just to showcase exactly what are the different mental states and the mentalities of Bruce Wayne. They are all so completely integral to his mission and his entire character that the fact that they exist is almost a perfect representation to show exactly where Batman will either be beforehand or could possibly be afterwards. The overall impact of Robins on Batman's character are always so integral and so true to what he needs to become. Dick showing him the lighter sides of being a Robin. Jason showing him the possibilities that could potentially happen, and everything else that could possibly end up happening in there. Each Robin has shaped Batman's approach to crime fighting and his mentorship in so many different ways, making each Robin kind of be an imprint on how the next Robin is taught, how the next Robin is in the stages of learning. Each Robin just basically gives him an entire new way of looking that kind of just shows you the growth that he's having as a character as each one passes along. They all give him something to look forward to and something to look back on. And the fact that they have all stayed such a close-knit family even after them leaving and coming back and leaving is always a sure on fire simulation of the fact of no matter what, family, no matter if they're blood or just adopted or just kind of brought in together family that has similar goals and similar missions, will always stick together, will always come together no matter what the mindset between everybody is. It is a situation that you kind of just have to really learn to accept and learn to truly cherish, because it is the main reason that everybody has truly loved Batman and his entire story with almost every individual Robin as to date. And the way that they have set his story up is so interesting and so integral to the plot and story of DC that it is one of those things that nobody could ever debate is absolutely done perfect. So, in conclusion, each Robin is quite possibly so important to Batman as a character that it is absolutely integral that they remain. The way that they have changed him and the way that they have grown as characters individually is always so reassuring to see. The way that they each represent something individual in Batman, either at that exact moment or a past of him, like a part of him that he doesn't want or come to realize, is absolutely done so incredibly in almost every Robin that you really just have to take a look at his character and understand why he has them. He has them each to remind him of who he could be, who he doesn't want to be, and what the best parts of himself are. They all are and so integral to him as a character, because without them, he would be lost. Without a Robin, he wouldn't ever be able to create a code that he could live by. He wouldn't be able to create anything of surefire status that would be able to be like, okay, this is my code. Yes, he would have a code, but without the Robins, there wouldn't really be much holding him to that. Those Robins are kind of the thing that are truly that last line of thought process on his end of, they know me, they are going to be the thing that stops me from ever going too far down the hill. Hence why even in things where Batman has gone completely evil, the first people that he needs to take out would be the Robins, would be the people that know him so well, because they're the only things that could actively stop him, get him back into his own mind, or truly understand him as a character. And that's truly the main reasons why I love the Robins existing, and I love all of the entirety of the story of each and every individual one of these people. So please, if you guys do enjoy this video, go down in the comment section and share what your favorite Robin moments are, or who your favorite Robins are in general. I would love to hear that, and I would love to hear what you guys think any of the other Robins that I didn't mention represent in Batman. I would just love to hear any of your thoughts and opinions, and make sure to remember to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm going to be here as often as I can be, so just try checking anything out. But with all that said and done, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.